you know what old Jack Burton always says at a time like this?
Come on, then. I'll bite your legs off.
I can take it.
Great power comes great responsibility. We have a fault. Get to the chopper! And wait. Just a flesh wound. I am the father.
人類最大の危機に守護神モスラ降臨。ゴジラから首都東京を救え。ゴジラ、モスラ、メカゴジラ、東京 S.O.S.
And welcome back to the 59th episode of the Monster Movie Stompdown. Of course, you got your host Sludge here. My co-host across from me
is Mark,
our brother from Texas,
Ruben.
So, and we are here with the next Godzilla film. We're getting close to the end of the Tohos. So we have got Godzilla Tokyo S.O.S. on this one, and then we've only got 2 live-action Toho films left. So, and then of course we're going to do the animes, but we're not going to waste 3 episodes. We'll do it all in 1 episode,
one shot.
But we're getting close. We're winding down and fixing to take off into the MonsterVerse by Legendary Pictures, which I'm excited about because I'm still riding the high of Godzilla vs. Kong because it's about to come out in 2 weeks, I think. I think digitally becomes available the 21st of this month.
2 weeks,
And I'm so pumped for it. And I don't know what to buy now, though, because I don't know if you guys saw me. Of course, you got Amazon has now come out with their own Steelbook version.
Really?
Yep.
See, I didn't know that. I saw Best Buy's. I didn't see
Best Buy's got one. Amazon's got one. You can bet your bottom dollar because they've done it so far with every film. Target will have one. So, because like Godzilla 2014, I have 2 versions. Kingdom Monsters, I've got 2 versions. And my wife's like, why do you have 2 versions? I'm like, because they're different cases. Well, but technically.
You got the same version, 2 cases.
Yes, but technically, on the 2014 film, the Target exclusive had 2 extra special features that the other versions didn't have. So technically, you got a little bit more with the Target. You didn't the second time around with Target. But yeah, so I'm like, I don't know which one to pre-order. Might as well just pre-order them all because I'm gonna get them all anyways at some point. But pretty stoked. Can't wait to get into those. So, but no, this time we are doing Godzilla Tokyo S.O.S., the one and only direct sequel of the Millennium series from Godzilla Against Mechagodzilla that me and Ruben watched last time, and Mark did not. Old age caught up to him, and he couldn't figure out which
how long will this last?
Oh, it'll keep going.
It's all right.
So,
it's all right.
But this one's a good movie, man. This one, like I said, direct sequel to it. Actually, they had several different storylines for this one that they brought to the table, and for Tezuka. I don't remember. I know Tomiyama he writes a lot of this stuff, anyways, and has for years. But I think they had like 3 or 4 different plot ideas, and Tezuka, who did the last one, liked none of them, and so overnight he wrote an outline of a script and turned it into him, and then that's what we end up getting. Toho approved it. So, but again, so we got Masaki Tezuka is back on this movie. Shogo Tomiyama, of course, produced it because he's produced most of the films. And of course, then Tezuka, he wrote the movie, and you've got not a whole lot as far as returning cast. The lady who played Akane in the last one, she's briefly in this at the beginning. But we do, of course, we've got Akira Nakao, who plays the Prime Minister. The second Prime Minister after Kumi Mitsuno. He's back as the Prime Minister in this one. Of course, he's a familiar face from all the Godzilla films. But then we also get Hiroshi Koizumi is back in this one, and he's reprising his role as Chujo from the 1961 Mothra movie, which was really cool. Now, of course, he was also in Godzilla.
That was awesome.
I love that he was in this. I love that they shot this right back to that film. So spoiler alert, Mothra's in this one, if we didn't state it yet. But he's also played Chujo in Mothra in 1961, but then he also played in Mothra versus Godzilla in 64. Different character, but he was in it as well. So it's really cool to see him come back because this movie ultimately is a combination of the Godzilla Against Mechagodzilla movie and the 1964 Mothra versus Godzilla. because we got Mothra coming in on this one. There's 2 larvas on this one. Great battle sequences and stuff. So big fan of what they did here. But I mean, pretty much picks up right after the last one. Mechagodzilla's under repairs. Godzilla's hasn't been seen because he's pretty jacked up. He had that massive, chest ripped up, arm broken from the battle from the last films. Again, if you guys haven't watched the last one, go watch it. It's super entertaining. So this one picks up, Mechagodzilla's under repairs. They can't get the Absolute Zero done in time because they're worried Godzilla's going to show up, and they replace it with like this triple maser laser, like this super uber maser laser out of his chest. But he's got a couple other new tools under the wagon for him. One is his new shoulder cannons can now individually jetpack off of his shoulders and use as weapons. He doesn't have the sword blades in his wrists like the last movie. Instead, his right hand, I think it's his right hand, can actually transform into a drill. And man, he uses that in a pretty hefty way. I mean, just jams that right into Godzilla and just turns it on and jacks him up. But so Mechagodzilla, or Kiryu, is of course under repairs, and before anything happens, we meet Chujo, and of course Chujo's nephew. He works as the head maintenance guy on Mechagodzilla. He's kind of one of the main characters in this one. The Shobijin fairies show back up at Chujo's house and tell him, they need to bury Mechagodzilla. They need to put the body back out to sea because it's really Godzilla's bones, and that mankind should not be playing with the dead, pretty much. And they give him an ultimatum. They said, hey, they're like, well, how do we protect ourselves from Godzilla? And they say Mothra will step up and fight Godzilla for you. But if you don't do this, Mothra will go to war against mankind. And you see the flashbacks of the 61 movie when Mothra attacked Tokyo. So they tell the prime minister and everybody about this, and they're like, okay, what do we do? We need Mechagodzilla to fight off Godzilla, but how do we know, or can we trust Mothra? Because our only experience with Mothra was Mothra destroying our city. And Godzilla shows up, and Mothra shows up to do battle with Godzilla. And then Mothra does pretty well for herself. But then she starts to lose it, and Godzilla starts overtaking Mothra. And at that point, the prime minister says, nope, we're not letting this happen. We're not letting her fight our battles and die for us, and sends out Mechagodzilla into what becomes just an amazing battle between the three. And then in the process, the egg on the island, Mothra's egg, hatches, and there's twins, a la the 1964 film. And the twins immediately take off, heading straight to mom, and join the fight. And the adult Mothra ends up sacrificing itself. Godzilla's about to blow away the larvas, and sacrifices herself to save them. And then it's all out war at that point. The 2 Mothra larvas and Mechagodzilla team up to take Godzilla down, and they do successfully. But the spirit of Godzilla, of Kiryu himself, awakens like it did in the first movie, and ends up taking Godzilla, wrapping itself with its steel cables or whatever, to the Japan Trench to bury them both forever. I mean, at this point, as the storyline goes through, he doesn't want to fight anymore. They give Kiryu a little bit more depth of personality. He doesn't want to do this. He wants to be at peace, at rest. And after this fight, that's exactly what he does. Great movie, great cast. This movie is 30 minutes long, or not 30 minutes long, 90 minutes long, like an hour and a half.
91.
And the first 20 minutes is set up, and then the rest of the movie, maybe 30 minutes. I mean, it's not long. About 30 minutes in the movie.
Godzilla's first appearance is at 35 minutes. I made note of that.
Yeah, because from then on, it's monster. I mean, it's all.
That's it.
Monster fights the rest of the way, and it never gets slow. It always stays well paced. Yeah. The action's great. The fighting's great.
Oh yeah, it doesn't get old, even with all the fighting that's going on. You stay right with it, and it keeps you right in the movie, and it's really good. Yeah.
So I mean, for this probably goes down as the most on-screen time for monsters of all the Godzilla films, because the vast majority, 75% of this movie, that's all you get, and it's great. So let's roll into it. Ruben, I think you're up to this time.
Am I up?
Yep.
All right.
What you liked and didn't like about this one?
Well, I what I did like about it is I thought the fights were excellent. Special effects were great. I liked that the fact that once Godzilla made his first appearance, that was it. It was monster action from there on out. But that's also what one of my negatives is I have to wait 35 minutes to get a shot at Godzilla. Right. Now you did get you did get a dead monster before the 35 minutes.
That's right, Kamibus, which was a cool throwback. Yeah. Mark, I don't know if you've seen. Exactly. Have you ever seen Yog Monster from Space?
No, I have not.
Oh man, we got to do that one at some point. That's a great, as far as the outside of Godzilla canon. Sorry, Ruben, I didn't mean to interrupt.
No.
Films, you know, I mean, the Mothra, Rodan, War of the Gargantuas, Mysterians, Frankenstein Conquers the World. You got Yog Monster from Space. Yog Monster from Space is awesome. You get the Kamibus that's in this, the big turtle, is from that movie. But then also, you remember the Nintendo game, Godzilla Monster of Monsters. The first monster you fight is that big squid.
Yeah.
Gazora. Gazora is also in Yog Monster from Space and was played by Haruo Nakajima, who plays Godzilla. Great movie. We need to do that at some point because that's a stellar film.
Yeah, definitely need to check that out.
So, but yeah, sorry, Ruben, go ahead.
No. So anyway, but I mean, I like the story. The story was good. I will say I thought it wasn't as good as you know. A matter of fact, it's just above Megaguirus for me. If I had to rate the Millennium series, that doesn't mean it's a bad movie. It's just I enjoyed Mechagodzilla more and GMK and even Godzilla 2000 more than I enjoyed this one. So it ranks low, but that's not really a fair assessment because it's up against some very good movies.
Yeah,
the Millennium movies are very good. You know, they're way above average. So I dug that. Soundtrack was average. I don't think it was anything special. Maybe you disagree, but I just thought, well, it's there. In fact, it was almost lacking too much of a soundtrack if you ask me. I mean, it was kind of like in the background too much. Mm-hmm. Acting was great. I liked the throwbacks in this film. Throwbacks were great. I liked seeing, you know, it was integrated into the story. It was, you know, it went back. So, and you know, that's always tricky when you're making a movie. Okay, if you're going to do that, you know, so they threw back to the 54 Godzilla because they had to, because of course, Kiryu or Mechagodzilla 3, I guess, is made from the bones, which I think we discussed last time. Now they showed, I don't know if you caught this, they showed this actual skeleton, and it was it was the actual Mechagodzilla 3 or whatever, or yeah, 3, 1,
yes,
2, third one, third one, and it was like the whole skeleton. I'm like, well, wait a minute.
If we get technical, it's number 4.
4, right? Yeah,
Terror Mechagodzilla that was rebuilt, and actually on his arm it says MG2 on it. So
yeah, so technically it's 4.
Yep.
Yeah. It's so that's why I was trying to figure out if that Terror Mechagodzilla, and it does say 2 on it, so technically this is the 4th Mecha. And so I mean, I liked the throwback because it took you back to the Showa era, and I always liked that. Especially it was integrated into the story. It was integrated into, you know, the twins were in it, you know, and then of course as soon as Mothra shows up, I mean, this isn't the first time she's shown up, but still, it was more of a Showa Mothra, maybe.
I think more of a Showa film.
Yeah, altogether. More exact. Yeah, more of a Showa film altogether. Yeah, you're right. So there wasn't much I disliked about it. I just the only reason I didn't give it as many stomps as maybe you guys did is because the other films I just enjoyed more. You know. And the argument can make 2000 isn't as good as this one, but that one was like, you know, RJ's first real theater experience with Godzilla 2000.
Nostalgia factor all the way.
Nostalgia factor on that for me. So, I mean, if somebody says, "Oh no, Godzilla 2001 isn't as good as this," I mean, it could be debated. So, but otherwise, I thought this movie was great, especially with the monster action. If you like monster action and you're patient and wait 35 minutes, you'll get it. And the story was good enough to keep you interested for that 35 minutes. It's not like I fell asleep the first 35 minutes of the film. it kept me in the story. It kept me going until Godzilla finally appeared. And I guess the anticipation actually made it a little bit better. So, but then once Godzilla appears, that's it. I mean, it's nonstop action, and it's fast paced, and not a darn thing wrong with it after 35 minutes. So it's just under an hour of constant monster action. Because if Godzilla makes his appearance at 35, live action, if I don't count the dead monster, then 35 minutes, and it's a 91-minute film.
56.
That's just under 56 minutes. 56 minutes of battle after battle after battle. So it's a great film. Can't think of anything else negative about it. And one thing I really did dig was the after credit scene.
Yes.
Did
you make it through that, Mark?
No, I did not.
We probably should have told you.
Yeah.
I'm totally sorry.
Thanks,
about
man.
that.
Appreciate it. You know.
Yeah.
The only thing you were worried about is I made it to the right movie.
Yeah,
That's all
like,
you
sure,
were
you
worried
got the
about.
right
It's like,
Mechagodzilla.
as long as I made it to the right movie, you were like, heck with the credits, man. Don't worry about it.
Yeah, but Ruben, you brought up the end credit scene, so you spill the beans on it.
Yeah. So the after credit scene, they show a la Amazing Spider-Man Sinister Six. They show a canister, and it's the Godzilla DNA. It says this is the Godzilla DNA. But apparently, there's a bunch of off-screen monsters on there. So I've pulled up a list, and it's Godzilla 54. They got the DNA from them. They got, it says here, DNA canister of, I hope I'm saying this right, Comibus, the dead creature,
the turtle.
Comibus. And they have Sanda. I have no idea who Sanda is. Varin, 1995 Varin.
Yep.
Garia. Gamis. This one I don't know. Ganymus. Ibira.
That's Ganymus is the crab from Yacht Monster Space. Yep. And now Sanda and Gyra, they are, and we already got reference to Gyra previously in the Millennium series, but those are the Gargantuas.
Yeah.
Those are the Gargantuas.
Those are the Gargantuas. So they got Gargantuas DNA, and then they got the sea monsters, Ibira, and then they got one called Futamai, which I can click on it and see what it says, who he is. Just it says, oh, here it comes. Only seen in the DNA canister, so he's never appeared in the film.
See,
the bottom line is, they got a bunch of monsters DNA. They got a bunch of kaiju DNA is what they call it. The kaiju DNA.
Right.
Yeah.
So, and they're all in canisters. And when I was watching that, it took me back. Well, actually, this was made way before Amazing Spider-Man.
Yeah,
was made with it at the very end. So Amazing Spider-Man actually stole it from.
And which was cool,
S.O.S.
and it was cool because it left I'm like, man, when I first watched, I'm like, this leaves such an opening for another sequel.
Yes,
which would have been
I was
great.
like, man, this would have been great.
Yeah,
but they didn't.
Toho wanted to do. I mean, they knew going ahead that the next film was the 50th anniversary, and they wanted to do a Destroy All Monster style film. Well, they'd already set it up with that little tease with all these other monsters, which would have been awesome to see. I mean, especially Varin. Like, y'all been teasing us with bringing him back so many times. I'm like, just freaking do it. Like, I love, like, Daikaiju Varin, not Varin the Unbelievable, the American crappy movie, but the Japanese film. That's one of my favorite giant monster movies. Like, I love that movie. I've seen that movie so many times. So, like, I'm ready for him to come back. And they were like, oh, yeah, he's going to be a GMK. Then Toto's like, no, we're going to replace him with Mothra. I'm like, you suck. Whatever. But
so there's a total of 8 monsters in those canisters. So I'm like, man, this was awesome. So I really dug that. I wish they would have went somewhere with it, but they didn't. But that's basically all I got.
So right on, Mark, you go. What do you like?
You go. Isn't that a car? You go. I liked it. I thought it was very good movie. I mean, obviously, a little bit better. I'm kind of in the middle when it comes to the stomps between you two. And Ruben's right. I mean, it's slow getting started, and once you survive that first 30-35 minutes, and when it takes off, it takes off. Yeah. And that's where you get the really good, exciting enjoyment out of the movie. I thought, the acting was okay. And again, on the soundtrack, if it don't pop up and just kind of grab you, it's not.
Yeah,
it's almost
it's
useless.
in the background.
Yeah, it's just not
it's in the
really there.
background.
And so as far as negatives, yeah, the slow start is the big thing, the key. And I mentioned to you before we started, the graphics are on Mothra. I mean, she was just
looks amazing.
Oh yeah, she's just amazing
Yes.
through this movie, and the way they have her moving and everything, I thought was just it was definitely a step up for her, and how they showed her, and I thought almost took the lead. I thought as far as when she was in there over Godzilla as far as the most exciting character. I just really enjoyed it. I thought overall good movie and a great sequel. Now that I've connected all the dots in the right order. So
the first one of this.
So I'll go ahead and kick myself. That way you don't have time to kick me over this stuff. Even though you put it in there every chance you can, and I'm not.
Hey, we've got another Mechagodzilla coming up, so I'm gonna at least drop it at least one more time.
And that's where I'm at. Good movie, and I just thought overall was exciting. It's definitely worth watching, even if you haven't seen the first.
Oh yeah,
it can be a good standalone.
Yeah,
so.
You're right. It's a sequel, but you don't need to know. You don't need to watch the first one to know what's going on in this one.
Exactly.
I love this movie. I love the Kiryu Saga, as some people will call it. Because I love how much they made him a character and they kind of wrapped up that story. I mean, they put an end to Kiryu, which is really, really cool. They didn't leave it hanging a little bit. With him.
You're right. I forgot to mention that. I did like the ending of this movie.
Yeah, which
I
was
the way it ended.
I thought it was just super, super cool. Because I mean, Kiryu, in the first one, in Godzilla Against Mechagodzilla, I mean, he's brought back to life, and when he first awakens, he destroys half the city with Godzilla having to do nothing, just because he's just erratic. I mean, you wake up and then bam, you're looking at another thing of yourself, and you just go on a rampage, to the point of where it's just like he's ready to be at rest, be at peace, and it goes good with the storyline that the Shobijin bring in of like, look, mankind doesn't need to be messing with the dead, so put him down or we will, type deal. I really, really enjoyed it. I love the graphics of the film. Yeah, Mothra, that opening sequence in this film when the jets start taking after Mothra in the clouds.
Yeah.
It's one of the best. Yeah. Maybe as far as the Toho live action stuff, aside from Shin Godzilla, is the best graphics that they've ever done. Like that. I mean, there's still, majority rule for me as far as this one versus like GMK. Overall, GMK still has got better graphics, I think. But there's moments in this, especially that opening moment with Mothra, where I'm like, my lands, dude, like that is awesome looking. That's the best Mothra there is.
Yeah.
Up until the King of the Monsters Mothra.
Right.
So I loved it. The fight's great. I love the fact that it starts, once you get through that little 20-30 minute build up and the monsters show up and it's just boom, it's just nonstop relentless. That and they keep it paced so well. Because they still intermingle the human storylines a little bit in there. I mean, they got to. Yeah. But it's great. I love that they brought Chujo back. Of course, I love Hiroshi. I think he's a great actor. I loved him in Mothra vs. Godzilla. He's one of my favorite characters in that film. I love the massive throwback to that movie. That's besides the original film.
Yeah.
That's my favorite of those 60s and 70s films. So getting to see that and seeing the characteristics of the larva was awesome. When their mother dies and just engulfed in flames, it's just an epic death for her. You see their eyes turn from blue to red, like they go from like, okay, it's freaking on at this point, and even wrapping Godzilla up. I mean, spoiler alert for those who haven't seen it yet, make sure you watch it. I mean, they do what they did in the 64 film. They wrapped him up in silk. Yeah, what they could do, and then Kiryu grabs him and takes off with him. That was a great movie. I mean, Godzilla gets pounded left and right from Mothra, the larva, Mechagodzilla, and he just keeps getting back up. I mean, when Mechagodzilla turns his hand into that drill. I mean, it's brutal. I mean, he shoves half his arm up inside of him and just turns that drill on. You just see chunks of just flesh.
Yeah,
just
flying off the Godzilla.
Yeah, I was like, oh my gosh. And then, but he just keeps getting back up, man. And so I thought it was great. They fixed a couple of the things I didn't like in the last one I talked about, where he was kind of stiff, just standing still. We didn't. Thankfully, they fixed that, and we didn't have any of those issues this time around. But a great movie. There was, I even liked the human characters better. And I'm not going to knock, just because I don't want any ladies to get mad at me, a female being in a lead role, because I love females in lead roles. Sigourney Weaver's Ripley is one of my favorite. Heroes of all time. Linda Hamilton as Sarah Connor. I mean, there's too many good female leads. Yeah. But when it comes to the Godzilla films and most of the monster films Toho does, their female character leads don't happen often, and they're really kind of hard to do because they don't sell very well. Yeah, they don't. But I think that has to do with their culture too. That the Japanese culture. So I think it makes it harder to sell. And I think it makes it harder for the actresses to sell. It really, really does. So not that Akane was bad in the last movie, because she was good. Okay. But I'm glad that Chujo's nephew was the main character. He just, the male characters carry these monster movies a little bit better from Toho. Yeah. So I was glad it was there. But then his partner, or the girl that he's known for a long time, she's stepped up as a co-lead. You know what I mean? And she does extremely well. She almost took the lead. To me, she was the lead. She was more the leading lady. Well, yeah, definitely the leading lady. But I felt like her and Chujo, and then what is his name? Akiba. Their friend that's the pilot to it. Those three kind of shared the limelight and did extremely well. So, I mean, I loved, because they have this, they all three have a history together, and so they did that handled that super, super great. So, I mean, the human characters were awesome. I love the dilemma that the Prime Minister is going through. Yeah. Because he comes to the realization, it's like, look, we've got to put these bones to rest. But then when it comes to that moment when Mothra starts getting her butt kicked, he's like, no, not on my watch. Ain't happening. You know what I mean? Like, I'll break the rules. If you're going to come save us, I'm not going to let you die for us, type deal. So, I mean, to be fair, Kiryu did suplex Godzilla. Yeah, and knock him out. There for you wrestling fans, Godzilla gets suplexed in this movie. It's pretty epic. It is awesome, and the fights are great. I mean, Mothra loses a leg. That's the first time ever. I mean, Godzilla just bites it off. I was like, oh man, just rips it off, and you hear the crunch. You hear the crunch and the tear. It's so good, and I love that they brought down you start seeing this gold dust showing up, and Chujo, the uncle he explains to his grandson that's Mothra's last line of defense, right? Like, and he goes into more detail than they have in the show or the previous eras. Is that her scales are coming off, so soon she won't be able to fly, and that's what's going to end up killing her. And I love how they did that. But then, I was like, okay, so we know, but then we get something. We know what it does, but then we get something that we didn't get before. And Godzilla goes to blast her away, and the scales ignite his radioactive breath into just a massive explosion, and it just knocks him flat. So I thought it was awesome. I'm like, okay, that finally makes that weapon kind of deadly. So it was a great movie. I mean, the soundtrack, was nothing major. There was a couple points where, especially when in the Mothra sequences, where I was like, okay, we of course we got the classic Mothra theme. If I can get that out, which is always great to hear. But nothing super special about it. But I mean, I thought it was a great movie. When it comes to the Millennium series, I put it up a little bit higher definitely higher than Mechagodzilla. And then probably Mechagodzilla is the bottom for me. Mechagodzilla is the bottom for me. And I put it just a tad higher than 2000, because it is kind of hard to, because 2000 was great, but I mean, the flaws I had with 2000 just couldn't overcome things I liked in this film. So, but I mean, great movie. It's a great watch on its own, but man, when you stack the two together, they're really good movies. I think really good. Anything else you guys got on this one?
Definitely. I'm in agreement.
Ruben?
No, I don't. I didn't have much on this movie. Pretty straightforward. Good movie. You know, I gave it just disclosure. I gave it the lowest. Did I give it the lowest?
You gave it the lowest.
Yes, I gave it the lowest. I gave it the lowest. But that doesn't necessarily mean it's a bad movie. It just means that I like GMK, Godzilla 2000, and Godzilla Against Mechagodzilla just a little bit more. But it's tough because they're all good in their own individual way. GMK's top of the list.
Oh yeah,
in my
for the
opinion.
Millennium.
GMK. Yeah, for the Millennium, I think GMK is up there, and then the rest of them. And man, and then I gotta say, Godzilla Against Mechagodzilla is really great, but this one fights it out, and Megaguirus is in the bottom. So I mean, they're all good in their own way. So it was very hard for me to rate this one because I didn't want to go too low, but I also didn't want to go too high. I mean, I didn't want to give it a bunch of GMK, and I'm getting old, so I do not recall what I gave Megaguirus. So
like
I
Mark.
wanted to make sure.
Just don't get to where you're forgetting what movie we're watching.
Yeah, make sure I watched the right movie. Yeah.
Are you sure you did watch Megaguirus? That's the question now.
Oh man, right? That could be.
I know I did.
You've not even ranked that one yet. Yeah, you gave it 0 stomps.
So this one's good. I mean, you guys definitely check it out. You'll enjoy this one a lot. I mean, the Millennium series is we got one more left in it. It has been a fun, interesting ride, you know, because there's no continuity really as far as film to film other than these two. You get your own original stories each time, which has been pretty cool to see, you know, everybody's different take or different storylines. But a good movie. We gave it averaged out to a 3 on the Stompdown meter. Give it 3 stomp. Okay, technically 3.25.
Thank you very much.
Because Mark.
Yeah, there you go.
Mark's got to get that 0.25 in there. So
what did I give it?
You gave it 3.25.
I gave it a 3.25.
Yeah, you did.
I called that one.
Then Ruben the 3, me and 3.5. So we averaged out 3.25.
That works
on the stomp. So it's definitely a great film. Super enjoyable. You guys will definitely love it, and we recommend it. Now we recommend going and watching Godzilla Against Mechagodzilla first.
Right.
That came out the year prior in 2002, right. Mark.
Yeah. 2002.
Not 1974.
Or 1974. Which we had already watched, so I don't know how he didn't put 2 and 2 together. But somehow he didn't put those 2 together.
Knowing we were
why are we doing this again?
We're going back to the show. So, but definitely check them out. They're super, super fun movies. And of course, you know, guys, we'll be back with next month. We'll be back this month again with the next Universal Monster film, and we're tackling Frankenstein. I'm really stoked about this one.
Yes, gonna be good.
Yeah,
it could be. I mean, I love Creature. We all loved Creature. I mean, Creature we rated very high. Frankenstein could it's tough between it and Creature. But I mean, it may be my favorite of the
You're going out there on a limb, right?
I am, man. It's so different because they're so different.
You know what?
So
that limb is pretty strong. I don't think anybody would argue with it.
It's just because they're two very different films. Very different films. You know what I mean? Like Creature. I'll get into it when we get to it. But so we got Frankenstein coming up. Super stoked.
And you never know. You know, that's just like with the Dracula movie we just watched.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I never thought the Spanish version was going to be that strong of a movie,
right?
To be pretty much possibly better than the English version of Dracula. So, I mean, they did some work on these movies, and Frankenstein's going to be exciting to go through.
I'm so stoked.
Now, Mark. We're not doing Mary Shelley.
No, not Robert De Niro.
And we're not doing the Hammer film.
Okay.
Godzilla.
Godzilla with Hammer film
Frankenstein. Well, we're not doing that.
You know,
this is Boris Karloff Frankenstein.
Yeah, well, I won't be looking.
Has to be Boris Karloff.
I won't be looking for Brad Pitt or Tom Cruise in this Frankenstein movie either. Like,
I hope not. No,
Interview with a Vampire.
Ruin Frankenstein quickly. But yes,
I'm gonna say Interview with a Vampire is the Titanic of vampires.
That makes sense as to why I don't like that movie.
Well, let's see. Just between the three of us, who's the last one to watch the Titanic? Oh, that was you, the last one to watch the Titanic.
Because I'm a man of my word.
Oh yeah.
Okay?
Oh yeah.
I'm a man of my word.
Yeah.
I went through hell to make sure you watched RoboCop, and you
I
still
did.
didn't appreciate RoboCop.
And I still don't.
Oh, my gosh.
And I don't. So that's just the way it is.
Man loves Titanic more than RoboCop. That tells you all you need to know.
Oh, I never said I loved Titanic.
That's what it sounds like to me.
I haven't watched it, so...
You've seen Titanic.
Not all the way through, no.
I watched the whole movie, and you still haven't seen it all the way through?
That movie sucks, man.
Yeah, no, it sucks. It is a terrible movie. Gosh.
Which is why there's no charger with that by yourself. See, that's
Cindy made sure of that one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, guys.
You know, the rule, it wasn't I had to watch Titanic. It was you had to watch. I had to watch RoboCop.
And that was a much better experience.
Yeah, let's blow him away, and and he remembers everything.
Well, I mean, if I had a choice, I would have watched RoboCop over Titanic.
But I'm telling you what. Oh, absolutely, RoboCop over Titanic. That scene that you griped about.
Let's empty his skull, and he remembers everything.
That is more believable than a woman holding on to a jewel that's worth billions of dollars.
I'm with you, man. I'm with you. You're not.
Yeah.
I'm not complaining about your version of Titanic. I just like
it's the version that's out there. That's just shame on you, Cameron. Shame on you.
I'm just saying you can't empty that man's skull and he remembers everything.
All right. So, anyways, so we'll be back here in 2 weeks with Frankenstein, and then next month we'll be hitting you guys up with the next Godzilla film with Godzilla Final Wars. It'll be an interesting ride. You are either going to hate or love this movie. There's no in between with this one.
I was about to say, I'm disclaimer. I'm going to be on the positive for Final Wars because it's another nostalgia film for me.
Yep, I'll be on the positive too because I'm a Ryuya Kitamura fan like none other. That dude can do no wrong.
And he takes care of Imposter in that.
He
movie.
does.
Godzilla.
He handles that situation.
Right. Your favorite guy.
Oh no.
Your favorite guy.
Least favorite. He handles that correctly.
Yeah.
This should be Justin's favorite movie. This is what it is. This is Justin's favorite coming up. So.
and it's got it's got everything. It's got monsters. It's got UFC fighters.
Matrix.
What else could you
throwbacks like
Matrix throwbacks?
Mutants.
I mean, it's got everything. Yep.
Aliens.
It's got everything.
I mean, it is just the biggest amalgam of just everything awesome.
I remember seeing it. I'm saying, what the heck is Don Fry doing in a Toho Godzilla movie?
Don Fry swinging his sword and pimp slapping alien women. Doesn't get any better, So, all right, guys. Yeah. Well, again, thank you all so much for listening. Check out the movie. It's definitely worth it. And we'll see you guys again in 2 weeks with Frankenstein as we work through the Universal Monster films. This is Sludge.
And Mark.
And you got Ruben in Texas.
Y'all have a good night.
We have a home.